everyone, and welcome to the Trending in My Life podcast, episode 46. And this week, it's all about beating the vacation blues when you return to work. And I'm actually outside at the moment, and I'm making my way down to where I work, having left the station. And so far, I'm succeeding in beating the blues. I'm smiling at the flowers. I've seen a parakeet, a pigeon, and just enjoying the walk down to work. Forgive the planes, they're always around in London. That one is a bit loud though. So I'm trying to record like a log of how I feel each day and how I can beat slumping into feeling all negative about the fact that I'm no longer on vacation. I've had a wonderful 2 weeks, and now it's time to get back to work and earn that money to pay the bills. So yes, so far so good. Still smiling, still enjoying the world around me, and not thinking about what's waiting for me. Sometimes when the backlog is overwhelming, you can only chip away at it a bit at a time. So it's actually better than knowing if you were late or harder, you could get through it, because there's no way I'll get through it today. So yes, so happy Tuesday, because it was bank holiday Monday, which means it was a national holiday, so I'm actually going back to work on a Tuesday, so only a 4-day week now. That's something very positive to think about. I'll check in with you later. So I'm home now, it's still Tuesday, and I wanted to update you on my day. It was fairly chilled. I was just plodding my way through the backlog of work, and nobody particularly bothered me while I was doing that. Only the last hour I was conscious that I had to finish something today. So I was stressed for the last hour trying to get it done, but I got it done, so I could walk out the door and not be thinking about it and thinking, oh no, I didn't get it done, or, oh, that's going to be waiting for me tomorrow. So the one thing that I didn't realise first thing in the morning, but I did realise in the afternoon that I needed to get finished today. I did finish. So, but yeah, when I left work, walking out the door, I definitely was stressed, because the last hour I had been like manically trying to get something finished. But then by the time I'd walked over to the station and was waiting for the train, I'd already started to de-stress, and I was thinking about what I'd have for dinner when I got home. And when I got on the train, I immediately started reading my Kindle. And by the time I got to my station stop where I have to change trains, I was chilled enough to, work felt miles behind me. So that was good. And I picked a stop to get off, where I walked through a park. So that was nice. It was a bit breezy and threatening rain, but it didn't matter, because I was looking at things. There was some ducks on a pond, and I was watching the leaves blow down off the trees, things like that. And when I've walked in the door at home, I am chilled. Work is a million miles away, so it hasn't robbed me of my happy vibe, which is good for the first day. We'll see how I get on for the rest of the week. Day 2 on my way into work, still feeling positive. Was a good evening last night, felt reasonably chilled. I know I've got less work to do now when I go in, because I've caught up that much more with the backlog. So yeah, all very positive. I find myself humming my theme song to my channel, which is always a happy thing. More later. So here I am in the evening of day 2 to give you an overview of what my second day back at work was like. Well, not as good as the first, and I definitely felt stressed for a big chunk of the day, and that did affect my happy vibe. Now, when I left, I instantly thought, okay, let's just forget about that and get back to being me and my happy vibe. And my journey home was good. And when I got home, I felt, yay, I feel much better. I separated the work from the home. And as soon as I walked out the door, I thought, forget it. It doesn't matter, on with the rest of my life kind of thing. And it is one of the strategies I talked about in my podcast, that in order to keep a happy vibe going during your week, you have to be able to separate home from work and leave the worries behind. But yeah, it's amazing really. It only took that second day before I was properly stressed out, and there was just an awful lot to do. And yeah, so I only had one decent day. I'm back into it. But yeah, there are these strategies to help you. And I did think when I got home, I wish I had some ingredients in, because I'd really like to do some baking, because that is always a happy place for me. But I would have had to go out and buy ingredients and then come back home and start. And I was just too tired. I didn't want to do that. That's another thing. Today I feel much tireder than I did yesterday when I got home. So, which obviously, if you have a more stressful amount of time in work, you do feel like that. So, not as great as yesterday. So I will freely admit that, it doesn't take very long for work things to sort of take away that happy vibe. So it's fighting against it. And when I went out this morning, I was absolutely fine. I was looking around, the sun was out, and I was looking at bushes with birds in, and I was looking at everything around me and enjoyed my walk into work. And so I was fine this morning on my way into work, and probably for the first hour I was okay, because I do get in early. I start work at 8 o'clock, but there are other people that don't come in till 9:30. So the full lot of people isn't in till later, when I'm likely to get more work demands. So I'll have to try harder tomorrow. This is what I thought. I did think as well, I thought, I'd like to go grounding this evening, so that I can just center myself into a more relaxed vibe. But there again, I was too tired to go anywhere to do that. And the station I got off at was different tonight, so I wasn't near a park to walk through. So but that's the update for day 2. And we'll see how day 3 goes tomorrow. Day 3, walking into work again and feeling very positive today, determined not to let stress get to me, and going to take a break and do some breathing for 5 minutes if it does. Got up okay with the alarm. Yesterday I kind of resented that, and today's already better than yesterday. All my trains kind of aligned. It was like I'd arrive and walk to a platform for my new train, and it had come in straight away. Sky is blue, sun is shining, so we're going to have a good day, determined. Okay, see you later. So this is after work on my day 3, and I just wanted to say I had a much better day today. I went in with the attitude I wasn't going to let things get me down, I wasn't going to get overly stressed, and I was going to fight the post-vacation blahs. So that's what I did, and I was lucky today. I said earlier on that everything went swimmingly with the transport. It's not very often you get this sort of step onto a platform and a train comes right in like a minute later that you wanted to catch, and no hanging around and waiting. So that was a good start to this morning. And when I got into work, I did have a sort of swings and roundabouts kind of day where I had patches of time that were incredibly busy, but patches of time where it wasn't busy at all, and I could sort of take a deep breath and feel yeah, I got this, and it's much better for you if you have a day with at least some breaks from constant stress. It's when you have days which are constant stress that it's very hard to keep your happy vibe going. But yeah, today was okay. Today was all right. And tomorrow is Friday because it's only a 4-day week, because there was what we call a bank holiday on the Monday, a national holiday. And I had that at the end of my 2-week staycation from work anyway. So it's been a good week to go back into work, because I've only had to work, well, after tomorrow it'll be 4 days and not 5, so to sort of ease back into it. But yeah, it was I'd got something that I had to concentrate a lot on first thing. That took about an hour and a half, and then there was sort of a breather for half an hour before the next thing came along, and that just makes the working day easier when that happens. So yeah, I mean, one thing that occurred to me last night, in the evening after I'd recorded my post day thing, was that you can have all the strategies in the world to try and keep your happy vibe up, to try and deal with stress at work, but you don't know what's going to happen each day, and sometimes they just don't work, and sometimes you have a really bad day and feel lousy, and that's just going to happen because that's life. But I think the good thing is to have these little strategies and tips and tricks in the back of your mind so that you can use them occasionally when they might make all the difference in the world. That, you did stop, take a few deep breaths, or stepped away from your desk or your task, and just looked out the window and just gazed out at what was there for 5 minutes. Just giving yourself that tiny break can make all the difference. So yeah, because I'm trying to put this into practice and report it back to you realistically each day, I'm very much aware that it's not easy. It is what it is. You just have to do your best to not let things get you down. Because things get chucked at you, do this, do that, and you get lots of different people wanting your time and your attention all at the same time. And with all the will in the world, you're not going to be able to breeze through that without getting stressed. You just are going to get stressed. And if you're not able to calm it down during work time, at least when you step away and leave work, that's when you can go and walk in through a park, or just even if you just go home and chillax in front of YouTube and order a takeaway. In a way, that's just as important, if that's what you need, if that's what will help you forget about the day and feel better, because that's what you're aiming at. You're aiming at feeling good again and replacing all the negativity you've experienced at work with some positive you at home vibes. So yeah, it has been a learning curve. It has been teaching myself that it's not as easy as it might seem, and it depends on your day. So I appreciate when I suggest that you try things. If they don't work for you, or if they don't work on the day that you try them, then that's okay. It's they're just suggestions, and they're just things to help you be a little happier, but you will find your own way. The main thing is not to let those negative days build up so that you've got a negative life where you're miserable all the time and hate going into work. I mean, we go into work primarily to make money, to pay bills, to put a roof over our head and to put food on the table, to take care of others that we love. And it's not something that a lot of people would do if they had a choice. If they won the lottery tomorrow, then they probably wouldn't go into that same job. They'd do something different or nothing at all. But yes, and to the people who love their job, and some of those will be people who work for themselves and chose what they do for a living, then it's so wonderful, and you're so blessed to have that, to be able to get up in the morning and look forward to the challenges of your day. And good luck to you. I mean, that's wonderful if you're able to do that. There's a lot of people that aren't able to do that. So those are really the people I'm talking to about trying to keep their spirits up. And I think especially after vacation, which is what this is about, this podcast, trying to beat the blues after vacation. It is difficult to adjust because it's a whole adjustment, going back into work and having that work-home balance where you've just had days, if not weeks, where it's all home. It's all on vacation at a different location, and you've been able to do exactly what you wanted to do, and then suddenly you can't do what you want to do. You have to get up early, you have to go to work, and you have to stay there and do work before you get to come home again and then do what you want to do. So yeah, it is an adjustment, and I think maybe as long as we forgive ourselves for being not brilliant at adjusting, and there was a morning I got up this week, yesterday, and I didn't want to get up with the alarm. The alarm went off and I thought, I just want to stay in bed. I don't want to get up. And I think everyone has days like that, but especially I think after a vacation, because you'll have been getting up much later than your work time getting up. So, but today I was fine. I didn't mind getting up. The alarm went off and I was like, okay, get up, go and get breakfast. And yeah, I was okay. So it just depends on the day, and quite often it depends on the weather, I think, especially in the winter time. It's harder to get out of bed if the rain's lashing up the window or you're freezing cold. But of course, at the moment, we're spring leading into summer, so I'm okay. Anyway, more tomorrow. So it's Friday, so it's the 4th day of being back to work after my vacation. And it was quite a day, because this morning I tried 2 different stations to catch a train, and both stations the trains weren't running. They were cancelled. They were delayed and cancelled at one, and on the other there was an obstruction on the line and everything was cancelled. So I had to walk to a 3rd station, and that took me a very long way round before I could change trains and get another train to work. And then when I got to the other end, I was rushing on my usual walk from the station because I was running late, and I got into work with about 2 minutes to spare. And yeah, it was rush. But once I was in work, people were phoning up and saying they were working from home today, and there was hardly anybody in. And because there was hardly anybody in, I didn't have that much to do. I was going through some admin things that had been stacked up, but I really didn't have any pressure or stress. And it was an easy day. And then I tried to get home. And the first train I got on, everything was normal. And then I went to change trains, and I was stood on the platform and my train was cancelled. And I'm like, oh no, what do I do now? And the one before it pulled in, and I thought, okay, if I jump on this now, I can get home a completely different way. and I'll figure out the buses on the way from the other end. So that's what I did. And I ended up getting home about 15 minutes earlier than normal. So it did work. But when I got off at this station that I don't normally go to, I was like, well, I'll just get on the first bus that comes along that's heading in the right direction, which I did. But then I had to change because it was turning and it wasn't still heading in the right direction. So I changed from that one. And then another one came along and I thought, well, I'll just do the same thing with this one, just get on it because it's heading in the right direction. And that actually took me almost home and I just had a short walk. So what a weird day. You know, both ends of the day, transport wasn't working properly and it wasn't smooth running. And weirdly today, work wasn't stressful. Transport and journeys were stressful, which just goes to show you just can't predict these things. And, you know, it's very difficult to turn things around from that. I mean, I was lucky that I got to work and I was so shattered from rushing and the journey in that I was just sort of sat on my chair thinking, okay, what's the first task I'll do now? And then, like I say, people ring in and say they were working from home. And I thought, there's no rush for any of this. I'll just take it a step at a time, made myself a hot drink and just eased into it. So that de-stressed the journey for me. And then, of course, the stress of getting home tonight. Now I'm home. I can relax, I can de-stress. I was thinking of doing some gardening for about half an hour, but I'm just like, no, I don't want to. I just want to have something to eat and watch some YouTube. And that's me done for the evening. So that's the end of my reporting in each day about what it's been like trying to combat the blues after my vacation. I must admit, I haven't been coming home and thinking, I wish I was still on vacation. And despite the fact not particularly wanting to get up early for work, once I was up and out and travelling and stuff, I didn't think about that either. I didn't think, I wish I was still on vacation. So in that respect, I guess I beat the blues. But it did teach me, as I said on a previous day, it definitely taught me how hard it is to put into place de-stressing strategies at work. And more than that, we were trying to keep a happy vibe going, keep that buzz from the vacation. I'm still, I would say, a notch up from normal at work. I'm still that bit more happy than normal, but yeah, it's tough. So I really wanted to follow up last week's podcast with this week's podcast so that you could see that I tried to put things into practice and I found it hard. I found it difficult, which means, you know, I'm relatable. I can see the problems you'd have trying to do that. And I think take it a day at a time and if you can try these strategies that I mentioned and they work, great. And if they don't work one day, well, maybe they'll work another day. It all depends. So, yeah, that's my podcast for this week. Please like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend, and come back next time. Bye for now.